Good morning, all. Welcome to this Panasonic Advanced Service Training. My name is Paul D'Souza. I work for Panasonic Canada, and we take care of Panasonic Canada as well as Panasonic US market. And today we'll be talking in depth on how to repair, service, maintain our single zone and multi-zone. My background, guys, I've been with Daikin, Mitsubishi, a little bit with LG, and now I'm over 6 years with Panasonic. I have seen a lot, and I still keep seeing more and more. And you guys are on the front line. Always share what you see, something new happening. It's always beneficial for us all. I would like to start thanking Wallace, Ernest, especially Fallon, Adam, and Tony for putting this presentation together. I believe we got an amazing, overwhelmed crowd. Guys over 150, technicians over 150 here. So that's really good start. Also, I would like to thank you, engineers, contractors, sales associates, for taking this time to listen to me for the next 2 hours. I will be talking a lot of what's happening in the field. That way, when you leave today, you will be pretty confident. I don't expect you to be 100% confident, but at least some confidence when you go out there and try and fix our unit or install our unit. So I will begin talking about single zone, followed by multi-zone, and at the end, we will keep time to answer all your questions, okay? I will keep time to answer all your questions. If not, we will reach out to you to answer all your questions that you posted on the chat. So let's begin. 2021 technical seminar. I've done a lot of virtual training over here in Canada, and I keep doing. I know the contractors in the field who are mostly in the field, they find it a little bit uncomfortable. But guys, we got to adjust and take it from there. Have a little bit of patience, and things will fall in place. Okay, let's begin. So you can see here we have our new single zone model that end with WKUA. Okay. Previous models were SKUA, RKUA, PKUA, and NKUA. So today we will be talking more about the WKUAs, the Nano X technology, and then later on we'll be talking about the multi-zones. We have 2 zones, 3, 4, and 5 zones, and these are the Indo unit models that starts with CS, ME, ME, 5, 7, and then the 9, 12, 18 goes with just the E. Then we have the exteriors, a single zone, and they end up with RKUA. These RKUAs, single zones or Indo units, can go with our multi-zone as well as single zone on its own. Okay, and then we have our builder series, where we call them the RE Pro series. They end up with RKUA as well, but initially you will see an RE. So as we go along with getting the catalogs in place, you will see different models that we carry. But today I will focus more on the WKUA single zone, and later on I will focus on the multi-zone. So our single zone Nano X technology, it has, as some of you know, it has the Nano X technology. What it does, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the next few slides. The good thing about this unit, it has a built-in Wi-Fi. You can use it wireless or wired. When you buy the unit, it comes with a wireless remote controller. And if an application is asked for a wired thermostat, then you can use a wired as well. As for the exteriors, which is the E model, RKUAs, they have an Econavi sensor, we'll talk about what the Econavi sensor does. Those units, they don't come with a built-in Wi-Fi, but you can add on an optional Wi-Fi module, which is manufactured by our sister company, Intersys. The good thing about our units, all our units, unlike our competitors, it's very easy. It's super easy to retrieve the error code. Super easy that you can even ask the homeowner to start off so that you are well prepared before you go to the house. And then our units are equipped with a plug-in auxiliary heater. Over here in Canada, some parts out in the East Coast, they use our heat pump as their primary source of heat. So sometimes when the temperature goes below minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit, the heat pump cannot keep up. It gives out a little bit of capacity. That way you can add on a baseboard heater or a hot water coil or anything. And that's the beauty about our indoor unit. There is a plug-in there. You get 12 volts DC. You can energize a relay and take it from there. So NanoX, the NanoX technology freshes the air. It makes the environment super fresh. It takes care of the pollen or any odors, mold, bacteria, viruses. Recently, when I was training, there is a guy told me, Paul, honestly, I have 2 dogs and they really smell. And when I use this unit, it takes away a lot of that smell. And I have noticed that. And this comes from the contractor himself and not from me. So it does help, and it has been proven, and it has been tested for quite some time. So if you have an application, this is the best product to suggest to the homeowner. It inhibits certain allergens, bacteria, viruses, and it can take away up to 99.9%. This nano generator is a maintenance free. Basically, it creates very high voltage, and in the bargain, it gives out water molecules. Those goes and travels as far as the entire room and goes and attacks all the bacteria, takes away its nitrogen and gives it water and hence kills it. So that's the beauty about this NanoX unit, which at the moment it's only single zone. Okay, remember that. The beauty about this unit, I like it, and I have it in my house as well. They have reduced the top intake. Unlike the older models, it was a little bit wider, like at least 1.5 to 2 inches wider, which to me, I didn't like it. It looked a little bit bulky, but this unit they have designed it very well. And even though they have reduced the intake, but the energy efficiency is the same and even probably better. So that's your intake. Once again, guys, please always remember to keep enough of room. I know the manual. I know the installation manual says 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches. But if you have more room, it's always better. Because remember, the room temperature thermistor or the room temperature sensor is right up there. So if you're going to squeeze the unit right up, the unit will be satisfied most of the time. So please keep enough of room for air circulation, air intake, and that way the entire room will be nice and comfortable. At the bottom there, we have a swing flap, which some guys, they call it the wings, the louvers. So basically, we have the horizontal louver, and then we have the inward louver, which goes from left to right. Sorry about that. So you have the downward louver that goes up and down, depending on your setting. And then you have the left to right louvers. You can adjust it accordingly to where you are sitting. Okay, inverter technology. Everybody talks about inverter technology nowadays. I mean, not nowadays, but for quite some time now. But everybody talks about it because it saves energy. It does not run full blast like a central AC. You know, a central AC, when you turn it on, boom, it goes right up to whatever amps it's supposed to run at, 10, 8, 9, whatever. But this inverter technology has a smooth start. It starts at a lower frequency, and depending on the demand, from the house, from the room, from the whatever storage, it will ramp up, and it keeps ramping up, and once it gets to its required set point, it will start slowing down, and that's how you get good energy efficiency out of this compressor, and you save a lot of money. Trust me, you save a lot of money on hydro. So that's your compressor there. When it sees the load is less, in our case here, we have two guys there. The load is less, the compressor hardly runs. But then all of a sudden, it notices there are more people in the room, or the load has increased. Then you see the compressor tends to ramp up. But remember, the compressor is not going to ramp up all day long. It's going to ramp up once it gets closer to the room temperature. It's going to start slowing down, and eventually it's going to go off. So what is this inverter technology all about? It's a simple one complete PC board. Before in the 90s, there were three pieces: the rectifier, the power transistor, which they call it the IPM, and then they had the control board. But now they put it all together, so you have the control board, the power board, and the IPM board together as one, to make your life easy. If anything goes wrong with it, just replace the entire PCB, and that's about it. So basically what happens is you get your incoming power there, and then it gets converted into DC. And when it gets converted into DC, it goes through this IPM module. That board is responsible for converting the single phase to DC, and then DC to three phase. So here we have three phase coming out to run this compressor. And remember, the voltage that comes here is not DC. Many technicians get confused. They get confused and they say, oh, it's DC. It's not DC. Oh, why they call it DC then? DC compressor. No. It's digitally controlled. DC as in digitally controlled, or DC brushless motor or compressor. But it's AC driven. Okay? So UVW three phase, anywhere from 48 volts AC all the way to 210, 208, 180. It all depends on the demand. The higher the demand, the higher the voltage. The lower the demand, the lower the voltage. Okay? So there you see your compressor working, bringing back the refrigerant. In cooling, obviously it's going to be vapor, and we are estimating around 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it discharges there. This is basically your IPM module. Now it's not one board, okay, guys? It's not one. It's not one board by itself. It's the entire PCB that when you open up our outer unit, you will find it as a complete board. That board, as I mentioned earlier, has a piece of a control side, power side, and the IPM. That IPM board, which is this one here, a little small piece, when it goes bad, these are the error codes that you will expect.
Paolo.
The F99.
Paolo, it's Fallon. I don't see your presentation.
Yes.
Can you pull up your
It's gone off?
presentation? Yes.
Oh boy. Something happened again.
There we go. Okay, put it back into presentation mode.
Is there a time limit or something?
No, there shouldn't be.
Anyway, I'm noticing it's going off every 10 minutes or something like that. Anyway, let's continue. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, I was talking about the F error code. In our Panasonic unit, we have only two letters, F as in Frank, H as in Henry. So we have the H error code and the F error code. You don't want to get the F error code because F stands for disaster. It's either the compressor or the outdoor board. So in very rare, it could be the voltage coming in is low. Very rare, it's the refrigerant that leaked out, which is F91. Otherwise, it's either the board or the compressor. But when the outdoor board and especially the IPM is defective, you will get one of these error codes: F99, F96, F93, and F90. I will show you.
The presentation
Yes?
went down again.
Really? Oh boy. Why is it doing that?
Okay, we're back.
Okay, guys. Okay, I think you heard me twice mentioning about this IPM module board. When it goes defective, these are the codes that you will expect. And remember, before you condemn the board, check your incoming voltage. Check if the outdoor fan runs. In most cases, 99.9%, if the fan comes on, goes off, comes on, goes off after power reset, then definitely your compressor is defective. But if the fan does not come on at all, no matter what you try and do, then it's the outdoor PCB. But if you are not doing heat pumps on a daily basis, that's okay. But if you're doing heat pumps on a daily basis, I would strongly advise you to invest in a phase in inverter checker. Inverter checker is the best way to go. You will save a lot of time. So inverter technology, it's all about maintaining comfort zone, comfort temperature all year round. From the time you turn it on throughout the day, you will always have comfortable temperature. And always remember to tell the homeowner that when the temperature drops outside, the room temperature will take a little bit longer to reach the set temperature. So please, if your homeowner was so much into furnace industry, always tell them that. Excuse me, is anyone talking?
Nope, everyone's muted. Continue.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, now let's talk about the Econavi sensor. Okay, the Econavi sensor is not present in our Nano X unit. The Econavi sensor is present on our multi-zone indoor head, which I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the training or the beginning of the slide, that the indoor units that work on multi-zone also can be installed on a single zone basis. The only difference between the two is the Econavi, and obviously no built-in Wi-Fi, and it can operate down to minus 15. Okay. I'm sorry. It can work below -5. The Nano X is minus 15. So anyway, what it does, this Econavi sensor, it checks the activity. So if you have to put the unit in that mode, you have to put the unit in Econavi mode so that it checks the activity in the room, and it checks what? It checks the blood temperature, body temperature, because it has a type of lens called Fresnel lens that checks the body temperature. So if something else is moving in the room, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to sense anything. It is designed to check body temperature. Maybe an animal, maybe a dog, a cat, or a human being. And the good thing about this Econavi is when it finds there is no movement, it will drop 2 temperatures below the set point in heating, and 2 degrees higher in cooling. So that way you save energy. And most of the time, I tell my guys, I tell my contractors, use this mode when people are going to bed. You know, people like to do setback. Setback with heat pump is little bit different than setback with furnaces, you know, because furnace does not care about ambient temperature. So when you go to bed and you drop 2 to 4 degrees lower, I mean, not 2 to 3, 4, but maybe 4 to 6 degrees lower, it's gonna work hard to catch up in the morning. So keep it in Econavi sensor if you buy this model, which ends with an RKUA, and that way when you wake up in the morning and it sees your activity, it comes back on again, and it only has to fight 2 degrees. That's all. It has a motor inside, and it has a lens that does the job of checking all the time. And if that goes defective, which till today, in my 6 years, I don't have a single unit that has a defective Econavi sensor bed. So keep in mind this I would say maintenance free. And what I was mentioning to you about the 2 degrees, this slide is the one that explains about it. Okay, remember, when you set in Econavi mode, 2 degrees lower and 2 degrees higher, depending on which mode you are, based on your set temperature. Auto mode. Everybody likes auto mode, but I'm not a big fan of auto mode, because 2 hours it's doing cooling, 2 hours, another 2 hours it's doing heating. You're fighting against each other all the time in the room. So in my case, I like auto mode probably in the fall or maybe springtime, where in the morning it's cold and then in the evening or afternoon it's hot. That's the only time I will use auto mode. But come October onwards, I will always use heat mode, or in summer, I will always use cool mode. I don't want to waste energy. And where you have a day or a season where we call it a shoulder season, why not use fresh air? You know, just open up the windows, shut up the unit, open up the windows, get some fresh air. But auto mode always, some guys, they like to use it. It's there, you can use it, no problem. So auto mode, the fan, the swing will always stay down. In auto mode, the swing will not go up and down, up and down. But if you put auto louver, that's a different story. Okay, remember, don't confuse between auto mode and auto louver. Auto mode is changing between cooling and heating. Auto louver and auto fan regulates the fan speed. Auto fan regulates the fan speed based on the coil temperature. Okay. This is more detailed explanation, and you can find this on our service manual, and our website is password free. You can always find more information over there. And obviously this is going to be recorded, so you can always go back and go through the slides. So we have this compressor control. We are manufacturing our own compressors, and sometimes you might see our compressors in other brand names like LG, Samsung, or maybe Mitsubishi. So if you see, if you open up their unit and you see a name Matsushita, it's coming from Panasonic. We are almost #1 leading manufacturer in compressors, and I'm talking about big compressors as well, screw compressors and all kinds of stuff. So we are not only a heat pump manufacturer, but we do a lot of other things. You can search us online. So we are experts in every aspect, in every area when it comes to technology. So this compressor that we have has got a PTAC compressor boost, whereby it will run for the first 3 minutes at the start, at every start of the unit at a lower frequency, and it will creep up, and it will run at a maximum speed for about 10 minutes, and then it will start regulating. So that's the beauty about our technology. And this graph shows you exactly how it does. It starts gradually going up for the first 3 minutes, and after that, it will start ramping up. When it crosses 10 minutes, it will start dropping down. And when it drops down, it doesn't go off. It starts to maintain your comfort level. Your comfort level meaning in cooling or in heating. Then somebody will call me and say, Paul, the customer is not interested in wired remote controller. They are looking for wired. Yes, we do have wired as well. And when you open up the board, you will find a plug that says CNRMT. RMT stands for remote. You plug in your wired remote controller, and that's about it. So we do have options for wired and wireless. It comes with a supplied cable of around 30 feet. I'm sorry, it's in meters over there. I forgot to change that, but 9 meters is around 30 feet. So basically, it has everything that you need to do. Weekly timer, basic control, swing, fan speed, temperature, up and down, and you name it. Let's talk a little bit about installation. Indoor-outdoor installation tips, okay? Piping, wiring, testing, and commissioning, okay? Obviously, before you start your job, somebody went in before you, did their load calculation, capacity, they decided on what capacity, then they will come and look at what model is the best to suit the homeowner's needs. Then they will look for a location. Obviously, as an installer, you may have come across in your life that you installed an indoor unit above a window or above a door, and during summertime, it drips a lot of water. And that's not the best place to put a unit, because the heat from outside comes and meets the cold inside, and that's where you get a lot of condensation. So keep that in mind all the time. Another thing is you don't want an indoor unit to be installed in a bedroom, hitting somebody's head. You know, when somebody's sleeping, they don't want that direct airflow on their head or even on their feet. It's nice to install it in such a way that they get the echo. Echo meaning it blows on the opposite side of the room, and then it comes back, and they get a comfortable air that they can sleep the whole night with no issues or no cramps or catches whatsoever. So always remember the location is very, very important. And when you are selecting an indoor location, don't think too much about the outdoor, because the outdoor unit can be installed on a smaller unit. It can go all the way 65 feet, a maximum of 65 feet. But the main thing is the indoor section that you need to pay attention to, because if the homeowner does not like it, they will tell you to remove it and put it in another location. Now all that profit you made is gone down the drain. Then comes the fixing of the installation plate, outdoor unit location. You will do piping, flaring, power supply cable, control cable, you know, all that stuff. For most of you guys who have done heat pump, this is like day-to-day life for you. Always remember not to forget to put the filters that come with the unit. Sometimes we are in a rush. We leave the filters in the box and we throw it out, and then the homeowner is complaining. They call me sometimes. Oh, Paul, my unit does not have a filter. That's not possible. All our units come with filters. But then we have seen that before, that sometimes too big in a hurry, and the filters are gone with the garbage, with the unit, with the styrofoam. So always remember to give them their filter. And these are washable filters, okay? They can wash them. When it's dusty, pull them out, wash them, and you're all good to go. Backplate. I do a lot of installation as well. Besides training, I am in the field most of the time. So whatever you're complaining or you're experiencing, I'm experiencing the same. I have seen it. I've done it. I've been on the roof minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the same like minus 40 Celsius. But I've been there and I've replaced compressors and you name it with all these manufacturers I mentioned before. I worked with Daikin for about 7-8 years. Then I worked with Mitsubishi for about 10-11 years. LG was not long, 3 years, and I ran away. And now I'm with Panasonic. So I never install a backplate using the screws and the fishers that they provide because it's not good for us. I always get my own from Home Depot or Lowe's or you name it. Make sure I put enough of screws because if you don't fix this backplate correctly, after 6-7 months, you will get a call complaining about the motor being noisy because when you hang that unit was not balanced. And in the long run, the blower wheel was going off the square. And eventually the motor conked off. So you will replace that motor. After another 6-7 months, you'll be called again. And I have seen that. So please, the backplate, I know it's something very simple, but it can cause a lot of problems. Obviously, nobody's going to use the nail. And when you're installing a unit like that, always keep enough of room. Always keep enough of room for air circulation. Now over here, we have a lot of snow. So we have provinces here as opposed to states. So different provinces have got their own rules and regulations. For example, in Ontario, we need to keep 12 inches above the ground. In other regions, like out in East, Quebec, Montreal, those guys, they get a lot of snow, 24 inches above the ground. They need to install the outdoor unit. So always keep that in mind, or else you will have all the time a lot of problems. Places like in BC, which is close to Seattle, those places don't get much snow, so they are allowed 12 inches. Okay, 12 inches, 1 foot. And when you're making a hole, remember you have to make it on a downward slope. Okay, give it a slight slope so that when you're running the unit during summertime, you have free flow of condensation. People forget that. Sometimes people in terms of contractors, they make a nice slope, they give it a nice slope, but because they're in a hurry, the drain pipe was supposed to be at the very bottom. They keep it on the side or they keep it on top. That's where the problem starts. So remember, when you are pushing those pipes out, the drain pipe has to be at the very bottom, and the liquid and suction pipe on top, along with your control wire. You see that? That's where we make mistakes sometimes. And trust me, doesn't matter how many years you are in the industry, 40, 30, 20, you are still human. So you're bound to make some mistakes. So please remember always to keep that at the bottom, at the very bottom. You see this spirit level the guy kept here? That's very important for the compressor. If the compressor is not square or it's not level, that compressor will have problems getting back the oil. So please remember to keep it always level. Flaring, tube cutting. Always use the right tube. The tool. I know they say a bad contractor always blames the tools, but the tools also is part of being a good contractor. So please use the correct tools all the time. I never had issues with flaring. I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult flaring, but I have never had issues because My 2 years of apprentice, every day when I walked in, we were told to do 10 flaring, flare 10 pipes a day. And we just kept, and it felt so boring. But guess what? Today I have no leaks. I don't have any issues. So practice makes you perfect. We have guys here. They don't care about flaring. They just chop the pipes out and they braze it. That's not good, because again, when something goes wrong and you need to pull that indoor unit for whatever reason, again you got to cut it off, and then again you need to flare, swage it, and then do brazing. That's another headache. So if you find that you need to do flaring, please opt for flaring. Don't opt for brazing. Unless you're doing a commercial job, that's okay. VRF systems and all that stuff, that's fine. I brought this slide because I had an issue, and I didn't have one issue. Sorry, I have this issue at least once or twice a year. Guys are joining this, and they tell me, guess what, Paul? It works. Yeah, but every week you get calls back. I have a communication error, and then the guy powers the unit off and powers it back on, and it works. And then after a couple of weeks, sometimes maybe months, you have the same problem again. Never join the control cable, the wire that runs from the outdoor to the indoor. Please don't do that. You will always have problems. Don't forget grounding, guys. Always ground. Some guys will tell me, oh, Paul, the copper pipe is more than enough for grounding. No, it's not enough. It's not enough to absorb all that leakage that can take place with the electronics in the system. So please, you need to ground it, okay? Don't ignore ground. Gas leak test, pressurize the system. Don't over pressurize it, please. I have issues of guys over pressurizing the system, 450, 500, and then guess what? They push the valve in, and freon gets leaked out, R410 leaks out, and then what? After that, they vacuum the system, they turn on the unit is running, they sign the papers, they got their money, and they're gone. After a couple of days, the homeowner is calling, the unit is freezing when it comes to heating. Or it's not cooling enough during summertime. Why? Because the guy, when he was vacuuming, he ran away with some of the freon. So please don't pressurize the system too much. Just enough to check your leaks and you're good. Vacuuming, always remember 500 microns and below is your best bet. Please try and maintain and achieve 500 microns and below. Okay? Drain test. How many guys do that drain test? Or are you guys in a rush? It won't take long. It won't take you guys long. Just perform a drain test and see if it drains out freely, and you're all good and you're all set. You will not get callback. Today it's so hard to get a customer, and when you get a customer, you can't overcharge and make big profit because a lot of competition. And then you have to go back again to that customer for no reason, a reason whereby you would have resolved it during installation time. Please try and do this minor stuff when you're at the job site. You can do this when the unit is vacuuming, under vacuum. Or you will tell me I'm doing the disconnect stuff and all that. Yes, you can do that, finish that and do this. minor stuff. Then run. You can perform a test run. Remember, in cool mode, we need at least 8 degrees between intake and discharge. Okay, 8 degrees is our delta T between intake and discharge. And in heat mode, 12 degrees is okay. If you get a little bit more than 12, that's fine. It all depends also on the airflow. And our pressure always operates between 130 and 150 psi. Always operates at that temperature. At that pressure. I know Mitsubishi runs a bit lower, 110, 105, but we are running at 130 to 150 most of the time, most of the season. Control board, access. That's where you'll open up the unit to get access to your wiring, access to your board. When you open up the front cover, there you have access to your front wheel, your blower wheel motor screw. If you want to remove the blower wheel for whatever reason, or if you want to clean that blower wheel because it's probably serving a restaurant, in a restaurant they are doing a lot of cooking, a lot of oil there, and the blower will get clogged with a lot of dust. Sometimes the guys, they see the suction line is frozen, they go and add refrigerant. That's wrong. First check the blower wheel. If the blower wheel is clogged, obviously it's pushing less air across the coil. That's where you get a freezing. That's where the motor goes in. That's where it sits, and that's how you remove a motor in case you need to remove a motor. I had a job. I visited a job someplace called Gander. Gander is a place where when 9/11 took place, their airport was used. So all the flights that were supposed to land in the US, it landed in Gander. So you can search online, GANDR. I went to this job site, and the guy was purging Freon. I told him, "Where's your vacuum pump?" He said, "Oh, I don't use vacuum pump, and I've been successful." That's not the way to operate, guys, because every ounce on our heat pump counts. Every little ounce. So please use your vacuum pump. Do not use the refrigerant to purge the line. Use nitrogen. Use everything. Do your job correctly. You will never get callbacks. You will never get callbacks. The only time you'll get callbacks is when the product is not good. I spoke about in my first 2 slides at the very beginning how to check the error code. Okay, error code is very easy. Okay, I will also tell you to download our app. We have an app that I am using. When you guys call me for help, I use the app all the time. Oh, Paul, I have H95, H99, H11. I always use the app. Obviously, there are some error codes very common. We'll talk about it later. But I always use the app. And in that app, this information is where I got that from. So later on, you will download the app, and it will help you. It is so easy to use it. So how to check error code? So I sometimes I call the homeowner and ask them to tell me what's the error code, and it's so simple, and that way I can prepare myself if I have to carry parts or if I have to carry some material or whatever. So when the error code happens, the orange light, guys, please remember, there is a difference between the green, which is the power light, and the timer. The orange or yellow timer light will blink. I get calls once a week. Oh, Paul, I have an error code. What's the error? What's it doing? Oh, the power light was blinking. The power light, when it blinks, it means the unit is in defrost. But when there is a problem with the unit, it's the timer light that blinks. Okay? So how you check it? On this remote controller here, there is a check. There is a check location there where you use a toothpick or a thin prong. You will press and hold for 5 seconds. You will press and hold using a toothpick or a pin or anything small that goes into that check slot for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, this is what you will see on your remote controller. 2 dashes, okay? You will see 2 dashes. And when you see 2 dashes, now you are already in the failure recaller mode. So now you want to find out what the error code is. You will use the timer up and down, okay? Not the temperature. Remember, not the temperature up and down. The timer up and down. You will scroll to all the error codes. You will scroll, you will scroll, you will scroll. And when the error code, for example, is H11, it will blink. It will beep at H11. And when it beeps at H11, where the error code, you will look on your remote controller. And if it does not blink at H11, maybe let's say it beeps at H32. If you keep scrolling, and when it gets to H32, the indoor unit is going to beep. Look at your remote controller and see H32. Then, just to be sure, go through all the codes and come back at H32, because our indoor unit, no matter which model, they will only store one error code. And that error code is the current code. Now, sometimes our guys go on a maintenance call, a simple maintenance call, and the unit is working fine, no problem. But for some reason, they go and check the error code. And then they call me and they say, hey, Paul, I got this error code, H99, or H something, or F something. And I asked them, is the unit running? And he says, yeah, the unit is running perfectly well. I asked him, why did you check the error code? Oh, I'm on a maintenance call. Okay, that's good. You found the error code, erase it. And the app also shows you how to erase the error code. So simple. Erase it so that nobody else can pull out an old error code. So just erase it. You don't have to fix anything. Let the unit run, charge your maintenance fee, and off you go to a next site. I had a call and the guy pulled out an old error code and he was trying to fix it. And lucky enough, I asked him this question. Otherwise, he would have been replacing parts for no reason and just wasting time there, right? If you for some reason don't have a phone, which is very rare nowadays, and you don't have the app or you don't have a service manual, you are still protected. Our indoor unit on the right hand side has all the codes. They have a code there that tells you what the problem is. H11, H99, F whatever. You can see that, and if you are flexible enough, you can repair it, you can fix it, no problem. If not, you can always call tech support. Then when you lift the cover, there is a black push button. That black push button is used for test run purpose or for operating the unit when the remote controller is missing or the remote controller has no batteries or the batteries are super low and it's not functioning well. You can always use that push button. So when you press and hold, you hear one beep, you hear 2 beeps if you keep pressing, and then you hear 3 beeps. 3 beeps is heating, 2 beeps is cooling, and 1 beep is off or on. Depends on which way you went or which way you started. But all this, what I'm telling you, is available. All this information is available in our service manual as well as in our user manual. If you press for 5 seconds, you press and hold, you hear 1 beep. Yes. And if you keep pressing, you hear 2 beeps.
Presentation went down again.
Okay.
Okay. Just this. Perfect. We're back.
Okay, looks like it has a timer. I don't know. Okay, guys, auto on and off button is under the cover. You can pull it out. You can put the unit in test run. You can put the unit in normal operation mode. And that is only used for maintenance, service, and maybe when there is no remote controller. It went missing, or the batteries are missing, or there is no batteries, the battery's gone weak, and stuff like that. You can operate the unit with no issues whatsoever. If you cannot remember, always call us. We will help you. So that's your remote controller for the Nano X unit, which is our latest unit. You see that button over there? It says Nano X. If you do not press that button, you are not in Nano X mode, which means you're not going to kill any bacteria or allergens or anything like that. So it's nice and always beneficial to turn the Nano X on, and your normal mode. Temperature button is over there. The check I was talking to you about, that's your check button there. So basically, you need a toothpick when you are pulling up any error code. Okay, remember that. This slide looks a little bit stretched out because I was trying to see if I could make you read and see, but I think it's not that bad. So if you type on your device Panasonic air conditioner quick service guide, you will get this app. Download it, and if you're doing residential, it's here. You tap on that, and you're up and running. Please let Salen know if you're not getting through. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. That's our app. It's really, really helpful. I use it all the time. Anytime a guy calls me for a problem, I go through that app. Those are the tools that you need. I'm pretty sure you have everything. Obviously, you need a spirit level. I don't have to tell you about that. I don't like talking about installation because I know you guys are experts, but I always like reminding the most important things, like I mentioned about the backplate issue. And here again is your backplate. Always remember to install the backplate with enough amount of screws, okay? And put stronger fishers if possible. You don't want vibration. You don't want the indoor unit to be rattling. These are the standard stuff, you know. Slope. Always slope your indoor unit, your piping, or else you'll always have drainage issues. Always you'll have problems. Always remember, when you cross 25 feet, if you're doing a single zone, when you cross 25 feet, you need to add few ounces of refrigerant. Depending on which model you are working on, some models are 0.22 ounces, some models are 0.33 ounces. So always remember that, okay? Please, when you cross 24.6, 25 feet, you need additional refrigerant. Again, please do not join your control wire. The wire between indoor and outdoor, never join them in between. If you have 2 short wires, never use them. go and get a new roll and use a complete straight wire. This is the result. This is the result of joining wires, because they get loose at some point, and it damages the unit. Tube cutter, reamers, these are your famous tools. You know them. Always when you're doing your bury, okay, face the pipe downwards. Always use your spring benders. If you don't have the fixed benders, the rigid benders, if you don't have those ones, you can use the spring benders. It makes your job look so neat. You know, when your job is neat, you will never be short of work. Never be short of work. If your job is not neat, you will get jobs. Maybe you will get lots of jobs, but not in the long run. So please, neatness is the key to your success. I've been in this trade for over 30 years now, and I've seen a lot of stuff, and I'm still seeing. So please, honesty and neatness is the key. That's a flaring tool there. The moment you see a slight crack, don't take any chances, guys. It only takes 3 minutes to cut it off and make another one. It only takes 3 minutes. That's why I tell my guys, don't run. Don't run over red light or even amber light, because you are only going to be there not more than 3 minutes. So please, take your time, do it right, and you will never be called back for your own mistakes. And in Canada, most of these contractors here, they like to blame their apprentice guys. Oh, that was the apprentice, man. I knew it. I just knew it. So there's no need to blame your apprentice. Take your time, do it right, and move on. If you need to braze, always use nitrogen, guys. Always use nitrogen to blow through. You know how it works, because this is what's going to happen on the right side of the screen. Oxidization is taking place. So always when you're brazing, always use nitrogen. Mostly I did brazing when I was doing the VRF job, because I take care of our VRF product as well. And when I was with Mitsubishi and Daikin, I did some installations over there. I mean, big job, 60, 70 indoor units. So whenever we use nitrogen, whenever we had to braze, we always use nitrogen. That's the best way. I'm going fast a little bit because there are some slides that are not very critical or not that important. Again, this slide reminds me of pipes that are in your truck. The pipes that are in your truck that you used for another project, and the balance was you kept that in the truck, always seal them. Keep them closed. So that way you can use them for your next project and save some money and make money. You know? These pipes are not cheap. So always seal them. Never keep them open. This is what happens when you use an open pipe and you don't use nitrogen, you don't flush nothing, you're too big in a hurry. This is what happens. Compressor is overheating because it's blocked. Never use this guy. If you want to use it, but just to go to a certain extent, okay? Because you will over tighten it. No matter how many years you are in the industry, you will over tighten it. This is the best tool. This is the best tool to use, you know. Some guys, they tell me, what are you talking about, Paul? Torque range. Why should I use torque ranges? Why was it manufactured? For apprentice guys? No, it was meant for everybody. You need to use this tool, guys. It will never fail you. I know it's expensive, but trust me, you will not go back again, because over tightening is not good. It will crack. The nut will crack. And in all our installation manuals, we have this chart here that tells you for 1/4 inch, for 3/8, for 5/8, 3/4. They tell you. Here you go. I don't expect you to put 550 or 540 for a major leak. So obviously you're going to start with 40 psi to see if you have a major leak. If not, bump it up. I would suggest you to stop at 300. Don't go above 300 unless you have a lot of joints, which makes you more risk of having leaks. Then go to 450. But on a small system, 540 is too much. And never leave it for 24 hours. This slide is designed for bigger projects, bigger units, but for smaller units, don't go for 24 hours. Obviously, you have other jobs to go. Most of our guys here are doing two jobs a day. So pressurize the system 300 psi, 350 is enough. Check for half an hour, no leaks. Obviously, soap solution is the best as well. And then remove all your nitrogen and start vacuuming the system. Those are your pressures. Those are your pressures on cool side, and those are your pressures on heat side. 110 is on a very cold day. You will receive 110 psi if you're doing low ambient cooling, you know. But in most cases, you will be operating at around 130 to 150 psi in cooling and 350 to 425 psi in heating. So if you're doing heating, especially during this time of the year, those are your pressures in heat mode. That slide looks a little bit gray, but basically that slide is a page of our service manual. What it tells you is our indoor units have a 4 degree Fahrenheit dead band, which means in heating the temperature, the outer unit will start slowing down when the room temperature reaches a set temperature, and then it will shut off 4 degrees higher. So if you want to reduce that dead band, you can go into this special function and reduce it from 4 degrees to 3 or to 2 or to 1. I would suggest you the lowest you can go is 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't go below 2 degrees. If the homeowner is complaining about overheating. Okay, guys? So that brings us to the end of our first segment, which is the single zone.
All right, Pal, I have about 2 questions for you.
Yes.
Okay, so one is, so what pressure do you want us to test with?
I knew that was coming. So if you're doing a multi-zone, put 400 psi. But if you're doing a single zone, go lower. Now, pressure is pressure. It doesn't matter. But on single zone, the valves are not as stronger as multizone. Okay, the valves are not as stronger as multizone, the service valve. That's why I ask you to put it lower on a single zone. 300, 350 is more than enough. On the multi-zone, 400 is more than enough.
Okay, next question. What are your thoughts on using Nylog on a flare fitting?
Never use that. I have problems with those Nylog. I get units here that are in good condition, and because of that Nylog, it went inside our screen and got clogged. I know the blue and the red Nylog are sold for refrigeration. We are not refrigeration. We are air conditioning, and our system have got a bunch of screens inside, whereby on the refrigeration systems, like cold storage and I don't know, central systems and all that, they don't have the screens that we have in our systems. So that Nylog, for some reason, for maybe you have a bad luck on that day. You go, it goes inside, it gets sucked inside, and it goes and hardens. And when it hardens, it goes and gets stuck on our screen, and that's where the problem starts. And I have received units here. And I have received units, and they say, I go to my supplier, and they say, oh, you can use that, Paul, no problem. But they don't understand that our indoor unit and our outdoor unit have screens, very fine screens that can easily get clogged. So please don't use that, please. And there is one contractor out in the west, close to Seattle. He always used that, and he always had problems with our compressors. And one of the units that came back, I saw that. I took pictures and I sent him. Hey Neil, what is this? Oh, I always use that. I said, no, please stop using. From the time he stopped using that Nylog, I've never got a single unit back from him. So you can argue with me day in, day out. I'll tell you, please, I beg you, no matter how careful you are, the best thing you can do for me is to do a good flare. That's it.
Just a reminder to everyone, on the right side, you'll see a little bubble. If you click on that, that's where the chat bar is, and you can write in your questions. All right, one more question. Can you get room temp with any remote?
Can I get a room temperature with any remote? No. Our remote controllers do not show room temperature. Our wireless remote controller only show set temperature. Now our VRF systems, yes, they do show room temperature. But unfortunately, we're not doing VRF. We're doing residential. Our residential remote controllers only show set temperature. I hope I answered the question correctly.
One more question. What is the life of the unit?
Life of the unit, if installed correctly, 99.9%, guys, 99.9% problem starts with installation. If the installation is not done right, if the guy was in a rush, 99.9% we are blaming installers. So please, always make sure you install it correctly. You will not touch that unit for the next 10 years. You will not touch that unit for the next 10 years. Is it possible, Fallon, so that I know the guys who are asking questions are from which state or which part of the country? Is it possible, or it's confidential?
Confidential currently.
I would like to know, like, the guys, they are joining from which part, you know?
We'll talk after.
I have visited.
We'll talk after.
What's that?
We'll talk after. Just pull up your next presentation while I'll ask the questions.
Okay.
So pull up your next presentation because we currently do not see anything.
Sure.
Can any unit go below 60 degrees for heat mode?
Below 60 degrees. Hold on, I have my calculator ready here. Because we are talking Fahrenheit, right?
Correct.
Below 60 degrees. Sorry, 60 degrees is, yeah, 15 Celsius, anytime. 100% heating you will get. It's 15 degrees Celsius. These units are meant to operate down to minus 15 single zone and minus 5 multi-zone Fahrenheit.
How do you
Can you
control?
see this slide?
Yes, perfect. All right, so we have 2 more questions and that's it. How do you control
Okay, go.
ambient temp in the room?
How do I control ambient temperature? Like, I don't get it. Like, how do I control? I don't get that question clearly.
Like return air.
How do I control? As I mentioned earlier, always keep room at the top, 4 inches and above, if you have. Keep enough of room for your return air to come back. And if there is enough of room air going back, pulled back into the unit, you will always have comfortable air in the room. But if you squeeze your indoor unit all the way to the ceiling, a lot of hot air will be trapped in heat mode, and a lot of cool air will be trapped in cool mode. So you need good air circulation. You need good air circulation constantly, continuously, to get optimum ambient room air temperature. You know.
Paolo, pull up your presentation again. It went off. All right. Last question. How long companies support the parts for particular models?
Well, that depends on distributor to distributor, reps to rep. So our product is 10 and 10 at the moment. I don't want to speculate at the moment, but they are talking about 12 and 12. I don't know, but 12 and 12 meaning 12 years in parts, 12 years in compressors. But at the moment, 10-year parts, 10-year compressors.
All right, Paolo, we could start the next part of the presentation.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your questions. That made me happy. The reason why it made me happy is because people are paying attention, and that's what's important over here. You know, if you pay attention, you will always succeed in life. Focus is the key to success, they say. Okay, now we are about to start our multi-zone. And I will only talk a few things on the multi-zones that is so important. And they are important why? Because that differentiates between our competitors. And you need to pay attention because we install it differently. And you will come to know why I'm saying that. Because I've worked on Mitsubishi, I have worked on Daikin, I've worked on Fujitsu and LG and you name it. So I'm telling you based on my field experience. Okay. So our multi-zone is a little bit different. Okay, guys. So we are going to talk about the features. We're going to talk about the service mode, service information, and troubleshooting. Okay. So remember the error codes that are going to be spoken in this module is going to be the same. It's going to be the same, same error codes, excuse me, with single zone. Our error codes in multi and single are the same. If H11 is communication error in single zone, H11 is also a communication in multi-zone. So that's the beauty about a multi and single. There is no confusion. Okay. So now this topic is going to talk about 5 zones, but it's the same thing, and the same thing applies to 2, 3, and 4 zones. Okay. Why I say it's a 5 zone? Because you see 5, that stands for 5 zones. That's our nomenclature over there. CU stands for the outdoor unit. 5 stands for the zone. E stands for the series. 36 stands for the BTU, 36,000 BTU. Our four zone is 24,000. Our 3 zone is 19,000, and our 2 zone is 18,000. Okay, guys? And QBU is the series and version for heat pump. And -5, guys, -5 stands for -5 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so you can operate this unit all the way down to -5. It will not shut off. It will not shut off on you. And if you operate below -5, it will try and keep up as much as it can, and eventually it will slow down and shut off. But you will not get any error codes, okay, guys? If it operates way below -5, it will just stop producing heat.
Panel presentation.
Is it gone off?
Yeah, it went off.
Oh my God. Sorry, guys.
Rainbow Warrior football team play on campus at Clarence TCU.
Is it on? Hello?
Yes, sorry, I muted myself. Everything's back up.
It's on?
Yes, continue.
Okay. Okay, guys. 5 zones. You can connect up to 5 indoor units. But in our multi-zone rule and regulation, a minimum of 2 indoor units have to be connected. Okay? A minimum of 2 indoor units. However, you need to pay attention to the capacity. So when we talk about kilowatts, it's pretty simple. You just do times 3.142. You get into BTUs. But the beauty about the models here, it's very straightforward. If you see a 5, that means 5,000 BTU. If you see a 7, that means a 7,000 BTU. 9, 12, 18, and 24. Same story. 9,000, 12,000, 18,000, and 24,000 BTU. So remember, guys, when you're buying and you're installing a multi-zone, at least 2 indoor units must be connected. Now, not any 2 indoor units, guys. You have to maintain minimum and maximum, okay? If you go minimum, you'll get an error. If you go maximum, you'll get an error. Over capacity and under capacity error, okay? So I'm giving an example of 2 7,000, okay? Now, if we were in a classroom, I would be seeing you all, I would be talking to you guys, but unfortunately, we are not in a classroom, but I would ask you a question and you would reply to me. Is this going to be good? No, it will not be good. Why? Because we are not there as yet. The 4.5 is our minimum. Over here, only 4. So we are not there as yet. We need to go above 4.5. So if there was a 2.9, you're good. But who will buy a 36,000 and just put 2.9? That's a total loss, you know. So anyway, this is just an example, okay? This is just an example of how, for you to understand what it means when you buy an outdoor unit, let's say a 5 zone, a 4 zone, or a 2 zone, a 3 zone, and you just put 1 indoor unit. That's not enough. Even if you put 1 indoor unit and you cross the 4.5 kilowatts, it's still not going to work. It needs a minimum of 2 indoor units, as well as maintaining minimum and maximum capacity. Here comes the difference, okay? These are adapters. The adapters that normally be used at the indoor unit. The only time you will use an adapter at the outdoor unit is when you're installing a 24,000 BTU. Guys, listen to this very carefully, guys, okay? When you're installing our multi-zone, regardless, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5 zone, the pipe connections at the outdoor unit are all 1/4 and 3/8, 1/4 and 3/8, 1/4 and 3/8. Unlike Mitsubishi, Daikin, and other companies, they have different sizes. With us, all sizes at the outdoor unit is 1/4 and 3/8. So what you are going to do? What are you going to do if you have a 12,000? You are going to run 3/8 and 1/4 all the way to the indoor unit. And when you get to the indoor unit, you will use an adapter that will will be from 3/8 to half inch. Don't run. I know with Mitsubishi and other companies, you will run half inch and quarter all the way to the outer unit and do adjustments there. No, please do not do that. Again, if you're not sure, and if you get a job 2-3 months down the road, remember to call us, to ask us. There is no harm in asking. Because if you're going to bring half inch and quarter, 20, 30 feet all the way down to the outer unit, and then downsize it to 3/8 and quarter, you will have problems with refrigerant. The diameter is a bit larger, and eventually the system is going to tell me, or the system is going to tell you, you are low on gas because of the diameter of the pipe. So once again, I am repeating, 3/8 and quarter is at the outer unit. You run all the way to the indoor unit, and at the indoor unit is where you're going to use the adapters. For the 24,000 only for the 24,000 it's going to be different. You are going to run half inch suction line from the outdoor to the indoor, and when you get to the indoor, you're going to use an adapter to upsize it to 5/8 and another adapter to downsize it to 3/8. For the guys who are in the field, day in, day out, I know it's very clear for them. So once again, 3/8 and quarter all the way to the indoor unit, and make changes at the indoor unit. Except for the 24, you will run half inch all the way to the indoor, upsize it to 5/8, and downsize it to 3/8 at the outdoor unit. If you have any questions on this, please write it down, and then we will talk about it later. This is what I was just talking to you about. This is what it's explaining here. This slide is just to make you aware that there are clearances and there are pipe distance in place that you need to be aware of. Don't just install an indoor unit for the sake of installation or because the homeowner asks you that, and you're breaking these laws. You're breaking the height differences between outdoor, indoor, indoor, outdoor, outdoor below, indoor below, and all that stuff. So this slide is designed to keep you aware that you have to be aware of when the indoor unit is too high, or when the indoor unit is too low, or when the outdoor unit is too high, or when the outdoor unit is too low. At the end of the day, you will use the installation manual that came in the box, because that manual will give you the correct pipe length that you need to maintain from the outdoor unit to the furthest indoor unit, from the outdoor unit to the highest most indoor unit, or the lowest most indoor unit. Okay, so please keep that in mind. 10 feet is standard. Minimum is 10 feet. For this particular model, 82 feet per indoor unit is maximum. Okay, but other models, 10 feet still remains minimum, and chargeless. The unit has been charged for 25 feet, and as it crosses 25 feet, you need to add depending on the model. So please remember, I don't expect you to absorb all this, but always refer to the installation manual that comes in the box. And again, if it's not clear with you, you are always welcome to give us a shout. Give us a call anytime. Doesn't matter, we will answer your call. So all this info is available on our service manual as well as our installation manual. It tells you when the indoor unit is below, and it also tells you when the indoor unit is up. So always keep that in mind. Because why? If there is no enough of oil return because you exceeded the limitation, you are going to get a call less than 9 months. A compressor has failed. And our compressors, normally they don't burn out. They just seize. And we have noticed, in most cases, they have seized because the contractor forgot to add the refrigerant required. So please, I'm not blaming you guys. I know you guys are busy. You guys are always in a rush. I'm not blaming you at all. But please keep that in mind when you cross those limitations. But within the territory, always remember to add refrigerant so that the compressor gets its refrigerant, cold refrigerant back to cool it down. If it's not going to get that cold refrigerant back, it's going to seize. Okay? Oil is not going to come back. That's going to add even more misery. So, what is this slide showing? It shows you 5 indoor units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know it's not very clear to you. It's not very clear to me. But basically, it just shows you refrigerant circuit. And this page, you can also find it on our service manual, password free. That's your compressor. Hot gas, high temperature vapor is being discharged, goes here into our condenser in cool mode. High pressure liquid is out, goes into your indoor unit. Low pressure vapor comes back, and that's how it goes back. And that's how it cycles. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. In heat mode, it's the opposite. Your evaporator becomes your condenser, and your condenser becomes your evaporator. This slide shows you electronic expansion valves. So we are talking again about 5 zones. If we were talking about 2 zones, you would see only two of these electronic expansion valves, A and B, that's it. And if we were talking about 3 zones, A, B, and C. 4 zones, A, B, C, and D. But we are talking about 5 zones now, it's A, B, C, D, and E. So when you power the unit for the first time, this electronic expansion valve will start clicking. If you don't hear those clicks, my friend, you have a problem already. So always remember, when you power the unit for the first time, whether it's a multi-zone or a single zone, you need to hear the clicking of that electronic expansion valve or linear expansion valve. They're all the same thing. Depends on which manufacturer you're working on. They will click and then they will stop. That tells you that you have good power, you have clean power, the outdoor unit has a good outdoor PCB, and it's ready to go. Those are your sensors. Compressor discharge temperature sensor. That sensor sometimes goes bad, but in most cases, when you measure the sensor, it's not bad. It's good. Why? It's because it's low on refrigerant. The system has sensed, that sensor has sensed that there is low refrigerant. So the compressor is overheating. That's how you get high discharge. So please remember, these sensors, in all my 6 years, very rare they go bad. Very, very rare. In most cases, it's to do with refrigerant, either low, high, or less. Wiring. When I started working first with multi-zones in the 80s, we had issues, including myself, we had issues of cross-wiring. And somebody is already laughing there, I can see them. I can see them laughing. Why? Because I know every one of us have gone through that, and I don't blame you again. It's bound to happen. But again, if you pay attention, you will not have this issue. You will never have these issues. And cross-wiring is not recognizable when you're in heat mode. The only problem starts when you're in cool mode. So now I get a phone call in the summer. Paul, I have this problem. I tell him, David, you cross your wires. No, Paul, I swear on my God, I never cross these wires. Why? Why you say that? It ran the whole winter, no problem. Yes, it ran the whole winter because in heat mode, there is no cross-wire error. There is no cross-wiring error code in heat mode. there is only cross wiring in cool mode, and that's because the coil tends to freeze because the wrong unit is running and the refrigerant is going to the wrong unit. So one indoor unit fan is blowing and the other one is freezing. And that freezing, from stopping it from freezing, we have an error code of F17. Once in a while, it will throw you an H39. The moment you have those two error codes, you don't have to call me, my friend. It's crossed wire. And you can swear on all your gods, my friend. But I'll tell you, you cross those wires. And you don't have to be ashamed. It happens. It happens to anyone. 5 years in the business, 10 years in the business, 40 years in the business. One day when we meet physically, practically in person, I will tell you lots of stories on all my experiences with technicians who are 40 years in the field, 30 years in the field, and 5 years in the field. But today we don't have much time, so we'll just swing by. Whatever is important, I'm going to give it to you guys. And trust me, what I'm giving you is not because I'm reading here. It's because I've faced this in the field. And I'm giving you first-hand field experience. Okay? I've worked down to -40, I told you earlier, and even lower than -40. Changing compressors, changing pipes, doing this and that. So when I'm talking to you guys, I feel your pain. When you say, Paul, I took 3 hours to replace a compressor, I feel your pain. But don't charge me 5 hours labor. I'm just kidding, okay? So when you think you have a sensor problem, when you think, which I doubt, but I'm just giving you the benefit of the doubt. When you have a sensor problem, remember, always, there is a service manual or there is an app that you can always go through it and check. Based on the temperature, you will need to get your resistance value, okay? Sorry. Compressor. When it comes to compressor, guys, when it comes to compressor, the ohm reading has to be the same. Now, it cannot, I don't expect it to be exactly the same like 0.72, but at least close by. And I'll tell you, I have never had a grounded compressor, shot to ground. I have received few compressors here over the years, and they are stuck. And most of them, when I drained them out, they had lack of oil. And again, lack of oil, because the job that I referred to, or I go back and check the story about that job site, the guys crossed the limitations of the pipe and forgot to add refrigerant. So please keep in mind that when you cross those pipelines, always remember to add refrigerant. It's either 0.22 or 0.33. The bigger the capacity is 0.33, the smaller the capacity is 0.22. Unlike the single zone, the multi-zone, they have a card. They have a card. When you open up the control panel, there is a small card on the left-hand side. That card, we call it a service PCB. And what it has, you will see right now. One of the buttons is a pump down. Everybody knows what is a pump down. And basically what is a pump down? It collects all the refrigerant back into the outdoor unit. So you can do, or you can perform pump down even when the homeowner is not at home. As long as you have power to the outdoor unit, you can perform pump down even when the homeowner is not at home. Let's say you want to be proactive and you want to start pumping down the system before the homeowner shows up. You can pump down without any problem. Close the liquid line, press that pump down button, and you're up and running. You will collect all the refrigerant. All you need to do is press the button for 5 seconds. Pump down will start. You collect all the refrigerant, close the suction line, and now you're ready. The homeowner comes, whatever job you want to do, relocate the indoor unit or reduce indoor unit or add indoor unit, whatever it is, you can do that. Pump down for 15 minutes. In most cases, it is assumed that the pump down will take 15 minutes. I have done a few pump downs. I've never gone past 15 minutes. It was always 5, 6, 7. It all depends on how much refrigerant was in the system. So basically what pump down is, the compressor is running at a fixed frequency. All the electronic expansion valves are fully open. The indoor units are forced to run in cooling. Make sure you close the liquid line. When the pressure gets below, just about to get below vacuum, you will see the light indication telling you what is going on. And when you see those lights flashing, it means it tells you 3 minutes are remaining. And when one light goes off and only 2 are flashing, it means 2 minutes. And when one light flash, 1 minute, and you're done. Quickly close the suction line, and you're good to go. Test run. Test run is not my biggest, I'm not a big fan of test run unless I have a problem. I always tell my guys, do not perform test run after you finish installation. Because in test run, if you cross the wires, it will not detect that problem. So I always tell my guys, when you're finished with your multi-zone, go inside, turn on one unit at a time to make sure that the unit that you turn on is giving you good air, good airflow, and if it's in cooling, good cooling, and if it's in heating, good amount of heat. Because if you cross your wires, then the fan, that indoor unit will just blow room air, but the coil in another room will be getting hot or cold. So that way, it's a good way of testing if you cross your wires. Because I understand sometimes when the guy is about to do his wiring, he gets a phone call, and that phone call maybe was not good, or maybe it was too good, and they get confused and they cross the wires, and it happens. So this is the best way I do. One unit at a time, I switch it off, I move to the next unit. I run it for 5-10 minutes, I'm happy, I switch it off, I go to the next. Test run is good when you have a problem. When the customer is calling and complaining that it's not doing well, it's not heating the way I want it to heat, or it's not cooling well, test run is good. Why? Because you're running that compressor to the maximum. And at that moment, you will get all your pressures, the correct amount of gas in your system, as well as the correct running end. That's the best way to do, that's the best way to use this function, test run. And how you do test run in cooling, that's how it's showing you. You press and hold that button for 5 seconds, 2 lights comes on, you're in test run cooling. If you want to do test run heating, the 3rd button comes on. So when you press and hold, the first light will come on, the second, and then the second will go off, and the 3rd comes on. You leave your finger, test run heating comes on, and you're up and running. If you want to cancel test run at any time, you can press that switch again. Also, there is a wiring error check. I don't like this option again. This is not the button that I fancy, but it's there. But again, I already mentioned to you earlier how to check if you cross your wire. Very easy. Turn on the indoor unit one at a time, and it will give you results right in 5 minutes. Wiring check is there. You want to use it, you can use it, but I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, guys? And I'm talking not based on the books. I'm talking based on my field experience. Okay? So I'm not a big fan of wiring check, but again, if you want to use it, go ahead, feel free, you can use it. So basically what it does, it checks the terminals between expansion valve A. Does it correspond to terminal block A, B and B, C and C, and so forth. So that's how the wiring check is all about. That's a long procedure for wiring check. And it's there. You want to use it. But again, from the field perspective, I don't use it. Power save button is not very popular. But again, if the neighbors are complaining, oh, your outdoor unit is making too much of noise and all that stuff, and your neighbor, you really like your neighbor, and you're good friends with your neighbor and stuff like that, and you care, you can turn on your power save. Basically what it does, it doesn't ramp up the compressor to the maximum. Obviously there is a price to pay for that power save because you are reducing the capacity. Now if you have an overcapacity unit installed in your house, you can afford to use the power save. But if you don't have enough of capacity, then just leave it as it is. Don't use the power save button. Priority mode is what? The priority of operation mode is given to the indoor unit with the highest capacity. So basically, if you have a 12, a 9, and 18,000, so the 18,000 becomes the priority. You want to change the mode, you can change the mode on that 18,000 while the other units are in a different mode. So what you are doing is you're going to get cooling from your highest capacity indoor unit while the other two units now are on standby. Then one or two guys will call me and say, Paul, I want to use this heat pump for cooling only. You can do that. You don't have to unplug the four-way valve. All you need to do is cut that jumper, JP1, and you are in cool mode only. The day the guy wants it back, you can solder it back and you're good. You're back in heat pump mode. Troubleshooting. Now remember, we never spoke about error codes in single zone. We did mention how to pull the error codes. It's the same that applies in multi-zone. Okay? You will use the remote controller and it has a check button. You press, you do the same style the way I explained to you with the single zone. And again, H11 is communication error for both multi and single. Okay? So remember, whether you have a multi, you have a single, error codes are the same, except for F17, which is standby unit freezing, and H39 wires cross. Okay? And these two error codes, F17 and H39, are the only two codes I would say different from single zones. So in other words, the error codes are there, but you will never experience those codes on single zone. So what is H11? H11 is communication error between indoor and outdoor. And I'll tell you, after working with all other companies, it was so hard to determine whether the problem was inside or outside. But with Panasonic, it's super easy. How you do it? All you do is you remove the terminal 3. You see here, it says remove, disconnect terminal 3 wire on the control side and measure between 2 and 3. And when you get a fluctuating voltage of up and down between 10 to 50, 10 to 70, 10 to 50, all the way up and down, your outdoor board is good. Your indoor board is a problem. I had a service call 2.5 weeks ago. A guy called me on a brand new unit, H11.
Paolo,
I told him definitely.
Paolo, presentation went down.
Sorry, guys. Are we good?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Did I stop here or was it somewhere else? Was I cut off here?
Right here.
Okay. Guys, to find out which board is the problem when you get H11, it's easy. As I mentioned, disconnect the wire number 3 from the outdoor unit and measure just the number 1 and 2. The number 2 and 3. And if you're getting a DC voltage of up and down from 10 to 70, you're good. The outdoor unit is good, the indoor unit is a problem. But what do you do when it's a brand new install? Please don't tell me that you blame the apprentice. Don't blame him, please. Don't blame him or don't blame her. It's either you cross your wire, which you most of the time will call me and tell me, Paul, 99.9% I've not crossed the wires. I've been in this trade long enough to cross the wires. I say, okay, fine, I respect that. Then your wire is damaged somewhere. So if your wire is damaged, and it has happened, 2.5 weeks ago, I had a call and the wire was damaged. So I told him, just go in your truck, get another wire and run through the window. Run this control wire through the window and see if it works. And if it works, that's it. And it was a tough call because the indoor unit control wire and the piping was already embedded in drywall and all that. So it was a problem. So it's pretty simple to resolve this H11. All you need to be is calm. Stay calm, have a lot of patience, and you'll resolve. And I'll tell you, you'll resolve any problem. You don't have to get too excited. H12 is there, but very rare. And H12 is an error you will get when you installed less than 2 indoor units on a multi-zone or a capacity issue. If you have a capacity issue that we were talking about earlier, that you have to maintain not only 2 indoor units in a multi-zone, but also you've got to maintain the minimum and maximum capacity. Again, guys, I don't expect you to understand this fully, but if you have any questions, you can always ask us down the road when you have a project before you install it and make a mess. So please always give us a call. We will always guide you in the right direction. So I'm going to talk to you only about the common errors, okay? The error codes that are so critical and so important. H15, very rare. I've never had that. H16, I got this error code and it was the outdoor PCB on some occasions, and some occasions I had was the power. Incoming power was bad. Okay? So it's either the outdoor PCB, very rare, compressor is defective. Low compression can happen, but very rare. But you will check this H16 depending on case by case, okay? H27, outdoor air thermistor. It's the ambient outdoor unit sensor defective. Again, in my 6.5 years, never had sensor issues. Now, I'm telling you that doesn't mean that you will not have this problem, okay? Please keep an eye open. Sensors, I never had issues with sensors. They are always strong and very rare to go bad. However, I had 1 or 2 cases whereby the guy was doing some brazing and burnt the sleeve and the wire on the other side, and that can cause damage. So always keep that in mind. But I never received defective sensors so far. Touch wood. H28, very rare. Never had this. But just keep in mind, okay? I'm going to run down a few error codes that are critical, and you might encounter them on a daily basis. Not on a daily, but occasional. H33, very rare. Never seen that. H36 as well. But again, it's gas pipe temperature sensor abnormality. Okay? It's self-explanatory. So easy, so easy, so easy. H97, very common here in Canada wintertime. And I'm pretty sure in snow regions in your area, like Chicago and those areas where there's a lot of snow. What happens is the fan gets stuck, and it gets stuck with the snow. So please keep telling the homeowners they got to clear the area. You know, sometimes when they get a snowstorm, the outer unit gets covered. And now what? The outer unit stops, fan stops, and you have this H97. Pretty straightforward. Get rid of the snow, and you are up and running again. H98, we do get this problem in heating. So basically, what happens in heat mode? If you have 5 indoor units on a 5-month multi-zone, and you switch off, let's say you switched off 3 indoor units, only 2 are running. So the outer unit is larger than the indoor unit now. So you have a smaller surface area. So what happens? The indoor unit becomes the condenser, and it encounters high pressure. So you will get once in a while H98. And if you keep getting H98, even though all units are running, then definitely the filters or the coil is dirty. H99, this error code comes summertime. In summertime, a lot of folks, they like to put in dry mode. I don't stop them using dry mode, but I'll tell you, dry mode is used where humidity is super high, above 80% RH. So if you have an area where you get a lot of humidity, dry mode is good in cooling. Use dry mode in cooling. You will never have H99. But if you're experiencing H99 in dry mode and you're telling me that you have enough of humidity, then you are low on refrigerant. You are definitely low on refrigerant if everything is clean. The filters are clean, the coil is clean, the blow wheel is clean. But if you're getting H99 in dry mode and you don't have enough of humidity, definitely use just cool mode and you should be good. F11 four-way valve, very rare. I've never seen that, but you never know. F17 is what I was talking to you about. If you cross your wires, you will not get this error code in heating. Why? Because it is freezing error, and freezing is only during cooling season, summertime. So F17, if you encounter this error, definitely you cross your wires. F90, very rare, but it can happen. And if it happens, check if the outer unit is running and shutting off. If the outer unit is running and cutting off, check if it's the outer fan that is coming on or both. If both are coming on, then you have a defective PCB. But if just the fan comes on and shuts off, fan comes on and shuts off, then it's the compressor that is defective. If nothing is coming on, after 3 minutes of power reset, nothing comes on, then the outdoor board is defective. F91, I've experienced this error, and it's mostly to do with your refrigeration being low, super low. You have a leak. You definitely have a leak. F93, very rare, but it can happen. And if it happens, it's the compressor that is defective. F94 is there again, but very rare. It's a discharge pressure, overshooting, okay? Again, if the indoor unit filter is clogged, if there's too much of refrigerant, or the PCB is defective, you have that problem.
Paolo, presentation went down.
Yep. All right. You see it now?
Yep, back up. Thank you. All right, we're good.
Thank you. Thank you. F96, I had one or twice, and it was the outdoor PCB. Outdoor PCB was defective. And one or two calls I had, there was blockage, dirt, like cobweb, blocking the heat sink. So please make sure that the heat sink is clear, no dirt or nothing. And in some regions here in Canada, we had snakes go in and hide inside there and cause all kinds of trouble. F97, compressor overheating problem. I had a call 2.5 weeks ago. The discharge pipe temperature sensor was out of the place and fell into the compressor shell. And when the compressor shell was getting hot, the sensor got bad, was giving out this error code. So I asked the guy to open up the unit and measure that sensor. And when he was measuring the sensor, he couldn't find it. And that's when he found out that I think during shipment, whatever, the sensor came off the shell, it came off the well, and it fell down. F98 again is either the board, outdoor unit board, or refrigerant, or the compressor. It's there, and it can happen, but I have not yet experienced it. F99 is definitely the board. I had a few calls over the years, one or two calls, and it was always the board, not the incoming power. The voltage was good, the board was defective. Okay, that brings me to the end of our multi-zone and single zone advanced training. Guys, I was a little bit fast, but I think I was a little bit clear. And if I was not clear, you can always ask me questions now.
Thank you, Paolo. All right, everyone, I just have one announcement and then we'll go to questions. This is just a reminder to everyone. Tomorrow, January 13th, we have a gold certification training for Panasonic. At the end of the class, you will be certified and eligible to provide a 12-year warranty to your customers. Now on to questions. I will send a link to the registration after this class. On to questions, Paolo. Are you ready?
Yes.
If system loses all R410A, can we just fix the leak, evacuate it, and charge it again? Or we need to replace the dryer filter? Hold on. There's more. Example, homeowner installation, back flares, they undo the flare and lose all refrigerant, and air is introduced in entire system, including outdoor unit.
Yes. So just follow the basic refrigeration and air conditioning rules. If you lose refrigerant, fix the leak, put in some nitrogen, not too much, just enough to check the leak, 300, 400 psi. No leak, perform a deep vacuum. When I say deep vacuum, do it for an hour. For an hour, try and get it below 500 microns. And if you're happy, close the vacuum, wait for maybe 5-10 minutes to see if it's rising. If it's not rising, you're good. Charge the system with liquid refrigerant. Weigh it in, and that's it. Next.
Is it best to keep the largest indoor unit closest to the outdoor unit if possible?
Is the what? I'm so sorry, I didn't hear that. Is it possible?
Is it best to keep the largest indoor unit closest to the outdoor unit if possible?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why. Because each and every zone has an electronic expansion valve. So depending on that unit, if it needs more juice, it will open up more. If it needs less juice, it will close. It will modulate. So remember, the outdoor unit has enough of food for each and every indoor unit. It has enough of juice for each and every indoor unit, regardless of the capacity. So depending on the capacity, it will ask for more juice. The outdoor unit will open up more refrigerant and give that unit. So it doesn't matter whether you go far, you go close by, you are, less than 20 feet or less than 30 feet, it doesn't matter. It works based on the sensors and the opening and closing of the electronic expansion valve.
Just a reminder, everyone, you will get a copy of the recording of this class. Okay, next question. Can the multi-zone do simultaneous heating and cooling?
Unfortunately not. There is no manufacturer that does that. There is no manufacturer that does that, heating and cooling at the same time. What you could do is when units are in heat mode and you decide to change one unit in cool mode, you will either be told you are on standby until those two other heads satisfy the room. Then the other unit will switch over.
What happens?
So you cannot run. Go ahead.
What happens if installer has connected terminal A to terminal B in piping?
So it's not difficult. Change the wire. Change the wire of A unit to B, B unit to A. Basically, cross wiring is also cross piping. But we don't say cross piping because it sounds like a big problem. And to avoid sounding like a big problem, we say cross wiring. So all you need to do is switch the wires. So if unit A went to B and unit B went to A, all you do is cross the wires, rectify the wires. That's it. What is bad, what is not good, is crossing unit A suction or liquid line to unit B. Then you have to pump down the system and rectify the piping. I hope you understand what I meant by saying crossing the liquid or suction line. But if you cross both pipes, then that's fine. Just rectify the wiring side. But if you cross one pipe, then you have to rectify it by pumping down the system. And it has happened before. It has happened before on the residential side, and it has happened before on the three pipe system, which is simultaneous heating and cooling.
What is the best solution for a customer Panasonic system that the room temp is going way over desired set point?
Okay, in most cases, it's overshooting because it has been oversized. In a bedroom, 6,000 BTU is more than enough. In a standard bedroom, 6,000 BTU is enough. 9,000 is, I would say, an overkill. But again, if you are having overshooting problems, reduce the dead band. I mentioned to you earlier that we have a 4-degree dead band. You can always decrease it to 2 degrees, maybe 1 degree, and see how it works. It's easier to undersize than oversizing. Oversizing, people will always complain, unless you have a homeowner that told you in advance that Mr. Contractor, I don't mind oversizing. I love the heat. I love heat.
Okay, what protects my system from power surges?
Okay, we have one region here in Canada called New Brunswick. They are blessed with high voltage. When I say blessed with high voltage, during the day, they are running at around 249, 250 volts, single phase. And during the night, they go up to 260, 267. So our unit will shut down. Our unit shuts down when it crosses 253 and when it goes 187 and below. Our unit will shut down. But to avoid that, we have surge protectors that you can buy locally. Like our distributors over here, they sell locally. So you can always install a surge protector or a voltage stabilizer. So the best guy to design, to size a voltage stabilizer or a surge protector is your supplier or your electrician.
Okay. Can the indoor unit in heat mode be adjusted to be set below 60 degrees?
We have a unit called RFP. RFP means room freeze protection. This unit, our unit, obviously, are used in cottage countries. So I don't know what you guys call holiday homes, cottage countries, cabins. I don't know what you guys call it. Because here in Canada, some guys call it cabin, some guys call it holiday home, some guys call it cottage. So what it is, it's a house that you own, and it's up in the rural areas. You go there over the weekend or summertime. So when you're not there, when you're in town, and you don't want to leave the unit at night let's say 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you want to go lower, then we call a setting called RFP, room freeze protection. So if you read our user manual, our room freeze protection keeps it at 10 degrees, 10 degrees Celsius. Hold on, guys, I'm so sorry. I operate here. 10 degrees is what? Is minus, sorry. This is 10 degrees, 50 degrees. It keeps the room at 50 degrees. So obviously you have to set it at RFP. On your remote controller, you will see RFP button. Press that and it will keep the room always at 50 degrees. And when the temperature drops 2 degrees below 50 degrees, it will come on. And when it goes above 2 degrees, it will shut off. So yes, you can do that. But with our competitors, they don't have that option. So in that case, we are blessed to have that option.
Are you having any issues with the reversing valve sticking in the defrost cycle when in heat mode, which causes the units to stay in cooling mode? If you are, so recommend changing this valve in the field, or no?
We don't have that problem. That doesn't mean we will not have that problem in future, because our competitors do have that issue. They get stuck for whatever reason. So if you do have that problem, in my bag I have a magnet. I always roam with a magnet. And when I say magnet, you know what magnet I'm talking about. It's designed for four-way valves. You can forcefully pull it back to an unstuck location or position and move on. If not, all you do, you can try to unplug it and plug it back. Unplug it and plug it back and see if it works with the pressure difference between different modes. And again, if it doesn't work, change the coil first. Don't change the four-way valve. Change the coil first, the four-way valve coil. Then see how it works. I know exactly who you are referring to, which manufacturer, because I have experience with those as well. So anyway.
One more question. What causes a unit to lose heat after a few cycles?
What causes the unit to lose heat after a few cycles? I would say defrost cycle. When the outdoor unit is experiencing severe low temperature, when the temperature is like, I would say, minus 15 and below, minus 15 and below, your 9,000 or 12,000 BTU is not going to give you anywhere close to 9 or 12,000 BTU. It's going to give you 2, 3, 4,000 BTUs depending on the ambient. That's the time where I notice your indoor unit is not giving you what you need. And the first thing that you should suspect before calling your contractor is the ambient temperature. If your ambient temperature is way below minus 15, expect lower capacity from your indoor unit.
Can you move the indoor return air sensor?
Yes, you can do that. I was talking to a contractor just before we got on this training. This contractor, he sent me a picture and it was totally squeezed. That's why I was talking to you about 4 inches space from the ceiling to the indoor unit as minimum. And if you can go more than that, and if you have room, do it. Because hot air gets trapped at the top there. And when hot air gets trapped at the top there, that's where the problem starts. All the time the unit goes to sleep because he's happy, he's satisfied. So what you do to make it work perfectly well, move that return sensor to another location. And you can either move it out or you can move it down because that sensor is quite long enough. Yes, you can do that. And I've been successful.
He followed up with that to the question you were just asked. He said, how?
So basically, when you open up the grill, you take it out, you take out the return air sensor and leave it at the top. Leave it at the top so that it gets through. It gets through return air. because now what has happened is maybe the unit was oversized, or maybe there is hot air getting trapped. You move it to an area where there is no hot air or trapped. In most cases, I have noticed oversized units are causing overshooting. I have noticed when guys are installing an 18,000 BTU in residential application, that's where I have this problem. Very rare, I have noticed overshooting is happening on a trapped ceiling. So how you move it out? You take it off the fin, because the return air sensor is attached to the fin. Take it out of the fin. You can either bring it down. There is enough of room to bring it down and leave it sticking. But I don't like that because the homeowner can see it. I prefer to keep it on the top where it's hidden and not stuck to the fins of the evaporator. So that way the homeowner can't see it and it still looks neat.
Can you add wire to extend?
Yes, you can. I believe it's 22 gauge screen wire. You can extend that, and I have few guys who have extended it and brought it to the level of the switch, of a switch or a wired thermostat, assuming it's a wired thermostat, and they put it in a box, and it looks so neat. But there's a lot of work to be done, because you got to fish the wire, internally and bring it out, and then put a nice little box. And now the return air sensor is sensed at the height of your eye level when you're standing, and not anymore at the top. So you can do that. And I have guys, they have done that.
RFP is only on XE series. Is this correct?
What's that?
RFP is only on XE series. Is this correct?
RSC?
X as an X-ray and E as an egg. Is this
No. RFP models are on Nano X. They are on Nano X. They are on E series. I have the remote controllers here in front of me, and I have RFPs. Now the older models do not have that. Which model he's talking about?
RFP.
Yeah, room freeze protection.
Okay.
Room freeze protection is available on the SKUA model and WKUA model.
Okay, and one last thing. Thank you, Panasonic team, for the great class. You are awesome. Learned a lot. Great job, Paolo.
Oh, thank you, guys, and thank you so much for taking the time. Trust me, I am not a teacher by profession. I mentioned this to Fallon, I mentioned this to Adam, and I mentioned this to Tony Campbell. I am teaching exactly what I get from the field and what I've seen from the field. So this is first-hand practical information, and I know guys enjoy this. I've been doing this for quite some time now, and I know guys enjoy this because I'm giving them firsthand. So again, I'm a guy who is on the tools all the time. As soon as we are done with training right now, I'm going back on my tools. And I hope you go back to work and stay safe, guys, and all the best. Thank you.
Just a reminder, everyone, these classes will be emailed out weekly. You may sign up for more than one class. You could sign up for the same class that you already took. There is no limit to how many classes you may attend. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Paolo. Say bye.
Bye, Fallon. Bye, Fallon. We catch up. Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, goodbye.
Thank you.